mailed to you.
Make a motion to be approved.
We have a motion and a second. Questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. This time we'll move down to reports. Marshal Service, Mr. Shannon Buell.
Good afternoon. Real quick, before I go into the monthly report, I'd like to recognize Caden Garcia. He was the 2-year-old boy that drowned on the Illinois River the 16th of May. Oklahoma City Rivers Commission, along with Oklahoma Highway Patrol and us, and the Illinois River Fire, found him on Sunday. Also, I'd like to recognize Captain Jason Farley of the Claremore Fire Department. He died Saturday, the 23rd of May, while conducting waterborne rescue operations in Claremore. So, one of the things I met with Ed Fight of the Oklahoma City Rivers Commission, with some of our training and equipment that we offer. He wants to go into an MOU with the Marshal Service to help him conduct rescue and recovery operations throughout the Illinois watershed. So that will be something we'll be doing in the next month, is getting those MOUs together and getting those training venues set up to be able to help the Oklahoma City Rivers Commission. Other than that, are there any questions on the monthly report?
Any questions? Good report, Shannon. Thank you. Office of Attorney General, Todd Hembry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, committee. It's always a pleasure to appear before this esteemed Rules Committee. The major topic that we dealt with in the last month was a letter that was received by the Cherokee Nation on May 11th from the Bureau of Indian Affairs Regional Office that had notified us that they had declined our procedures for election for principal chief in accordance with the Principal Chief Act of 1970. The reasons for the denial, it stated in that letter, was issues concerning the 1999 Constitution and the Freedmen issue not being resolved. I will say I was very surprised to get that letter, given the given the actions and conversations between the Cherokee Nation and the BIA over the last 4 years. But that being said, we convened a very high-level meeting with the members of the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Deputy Solicitor General of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, members of the Department of Justice. In that meeting, I informed them of the fact that 2011, the BIA had approved our election procedures, that over the past 4 years there have been no substantive or major changes in those election procedures. That as to the 1999 Constitution, we have de facto operated under that and continue to operate under that and will continue to operate under the 1999 Constitution. And that as to the Freedmen issue, we have done everything possible under our government to try to get that issue resolved. And the members of this council are aware of those, which include having all parties submit cross motions for summary judgment on the key issue or the issue on the merits, and holding aside any ancillary issues until that issue has been decided by a federal judge. We tried that case on May 4th, 2014. We expected to have a decision by this point, but we do not. So after informing the BIA officials of those actions, and with the concurrence of the Department of Justice attorney saying, yes, General Hembry is correct, and the Cherokee Nation has done everything possible to bring the issue of the federal or the Freedmen to a resolution. Yesterday, May 27th, the Bureau of Indian Affairs issued a withdrawal of their May 11th, 2015 letter and has approved the election procedures for the principal chief. So, as I said before that withdrawal, and I will say after withdrawal, the Cherokee Nation unequivocally will have an election June 27th based on the laws that you passed in this body. It was an inconvenience that was unfortunate we had to go through, but in the end, with the withdrawal of the BIA letter in an amazingly short time, this issue has been resolved. Other than that, the Attorney General's office has been able to carry on business, no major actions other than what we will discuss in our special rules meeting has come to the forefront. With that, I will entertain any questions that the committee may have.
Counselor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Hembry, so I was confused because I believe the date was May 11th, so allow for 4 or 5 days to get through the mail and through the mail internal in the office. The first I read about it was a few days ago in the Cherokee Phoenix.
Okay.
So the tribal council was never alerted that there might potentially be an issue. So what should the process be? Because that just doesn't seem correct.
Well, my job is not communications or public relations. My task is when I see a problem, I solve it.
It is governance though, correct?
Again, my issue was there was an issue with the a wrongful issue of approving our election code, and when I became aware of it, it became my top priority. And we took about the task of getting the matter resolved, and we did.
Well, I'm struggling because I got reports that on Facebook, a contract employee within the tribe seemed to have access to this memo, but yet as a council, I don't know that we received it. But it was posted by,
I rarely get on Facebook.
I didn't see it either. It was reported to me, and that was another alert to the issue when it was also raised.
Communications and public relations are not within my forte. My sole issue was to resolve it, and I did.
So, in terms of resolving it, I want to make sure, because I just had a chance to read that letter back to the BIA. They must be registered voters. The freedmen citizens must be registered under the laws of the Cherokee Nation. So they won't be FedExed overnight multiple ballots if they're not registered, or any of the things we might have seen before.
That is correct.
So
They will be treated just like any other Cherokee citizen. If they are
So-
registered to vote, if they
by the same deadline.
by the same deadline, if they have requested an absentee ballot by the same deadline, they will receive one. There will be no special privileges given to a special class of freedmen or any other Cherokee citizen.
Okay, and so that was really because I was trying to go back to that original law that was passed, and I was thinking it had to do with like absentee walk-in days and those things was the content of the law was what I recalled, but I hadn't had a chance to go back and review it.
Are you talking about the court order?
So I'm talking about what they tried to disapprove. So so you're saying everything's approved, we
Everything's
will
approved.
proceed, and all of those threats are withdrawn?
Absolutely.
Okay. I also have questions about, there's Cherokee attorneys that are asking about codification and such. So, but from what I recall, the Constitution says that that's our obligation. It's not the Attorney General's or the chief's. I know that there was claim taken for codification or blame and those things, but it's our responsibility. Is that correct, as the legislative branch?
If you're directing that question to me, I'll be
I'm
glad to
asking,
respond.
yes.
Codification has been completed. The books are available. I believe there were 300 sets initially sent to the warehouse. They are being sold out of the warehouse so that we did not have to deal with the sale. We have bought enough sets, I believe, for everyone on the council to have access. We keep an extra set. In fact, if you look back at the back, there's an orange set right back in the open area of our offices. I believe the courts and maybe the Attorney General's office have also taken advantage of buying them. I think they're,
We have bought 3 sets, I believe,
Okay.
at the Attorney General's office.
okay, and I think the courts have inquired, I believe maybe they've already bought some sets.
So I may have misunderstood before, so help me understand what is or isn't, because people are asking questions. Will this be publicly available on Legistar so people can search it as a codified document
I believe it will be available
or online?
online, is my understanding, through West Publishing.
West Publishing will have an online service for this. Any law that is passed by this council is available free of charge on Legistar. There are a number of locations where the codification books are free and open to the public for research. The public dissemination of these laws has been thorough.
And just an additional comment, our staff is in the process of putting it on Legistar now. So it will be free and available on Legistar.
Okay, that's it. Will there also be CDs? Because I thought there were gonna be CDs, so instead of books, there'd be searchable CDs that could be purchased too.
I've not heard of
At
that.
some minimal cost instead of like the $455.
You know, as to
We
the
didn't
sale
discuss
of
that.
these books and how they're done, the
January
contract is
wasn't
through the council.
discussed.
No, that was.
You know, the Attorney General's office took it upon itself to complete this project because of the length of time that it had taken, and that, you know, to be perfectly frank, had we not taken the opportunity to apply the resources, it may have never gotten done. It hadn't been, the laws of the Cherokee Nation had not been codified since 1994, and that needed to be completed. And we were happy to be a part of it.
I understand it was an issue, so it's great, we're done, but I'm trying to understand, so I'm not an attorney, I'm an engineer, so I tried to, it was raised to me, and I was trying to understand, so the questions or the concerns are if there's practicing attorneys, their ease of access to the codified laws in order to practice in our courts, and that it's publicly available. And there's concerns right now, the way we've set it up. May we revisit this, and may it be an agenda item next month?
Speaker?
I can only tell you, we have, with our process, complied with all requirements, as I can see, to provide it to the public in a way that the Constitution required us to. They will have, I don't know how other practicing attorneys do it, but I've got a whole office of law books that I probably hadn't touched in years, because I can go to a free site, just like they'll be able to do with Legistar, and I can quickly look up the law and anything. So I don't use books anymore. I always felt like codification, and everybody was saying we had to have books. It wasn't a useful tool to me. I don't know how Todd operates. I try to stay up on the latest law by looking on the free service that I have access to for Oklahoma law and for most other states now. So as far as the CD, I never heard about, I don't recall that we were going to do CDs.
Well,
I don't
I
recall
don't
that.
think we discussed it.
Conversation.
And let me add this, if I may. The requirements under the Constitution were satisfied upon the completion of Legistar. That is a system of indexing of laws that is made completely available, completely free to the public. Codification is an easier process, and that's why it was important to get done. But that was done as a convenience to the general public and to attorneys. If there is, if the attorneys that have contacted you, have them please contact my office. We will make them aware of every available resource that is today available free for the public and them to research the laws. And if necessary, we'll look up a law for them if they can't find it.
Okay. Counselor Watts, you still have the floor.
So from what I understand, they have already contacted your office and they weren't satisfied with the answer.
Have them contact me
So-
personally.
So, I think like, for example, on narf.org, some of the tribal laws, like even Seminole Nation, Chickasaw Nation, they are codified and online and free through NARF, if nothing else. So, at listening to all of you, it doesn't sound like we're too far off. I think there's some agreement. And I think that it is maybe that we all might agree that we could go beyond the constitutional requirements. But there's some specifics in here that make it that it's not. So maybe we could coordinate better because the Constitution requires certain things of some branches, but others, so maybe we need to coordinate, which if we could have an agenda item next month, I can have, because this was brought to my attention this morning on the way in, is that we could have some specifics, concerns, and a list, and try to address it together even before the meeting and make the announcement of who's gonna do what.
Be happy to coordinate with you in any and all aspects, and if you could forward that email to me, I'd be happy to reach out to the attorneys or attorney in question immediately.
Is it,
We
can
can-
we
you
have it
can-
as an agenda item? So it has
If
its
that's
own
what you
time?
want, I'm just satisfied we're meeting all the constitutional requirements. But you can meet with me after the meeting, we'll set that up through Todd. Now, Todd, you gonna be as a reference on this if some of these attorneys want to speak with you?
Be happy to.
Okay. All right, Counselor Watts, are you through?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Counselor Thornton?
Yes. As far as my Cherokee lawyer friends, there's not a one of them asked about the codification. I think that we're in the process of the codification and putting it online. I don't see where we need to talk about it myself. As far as the well, that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Counselor Lay?
Thank you, sir. The 9/11 letter and I guess the resolution letter that cleared everything up. Could you send that to us or it goes to us? I've never gotten it.
I will make sure that they get to you. They are public documents.
Whoever's supposed to
Yeah.
be passing that down to council.
I will make sure they get forwarded to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good? Okay. Counselor Thornton?
I want to ask a question about this Freedman situation.
Yes, sir.
How does it differ from 4 years ago that we went through the same thing? 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago?
175 years ago.
How does it
Yeah,
differ?
what's different today is that we've tried the case on the merits. You know, the essential question, what, if anything, was, did the Treaty of 1866 grant freedmen and their descendants? The question's never been answered by a court of law. In the last 4 years, we have made it possible to, with the concurrence of the Department of Justice, the Cherokee Nation, and the Department of the Interior, for all parties to be at this before a judicial neutral magistrate to try this case, and that's what's changed. And so we've done more in the last 3 years to resolve this matter than what's occurred in the last 175.
But we was also under a court order 4 years ago to let Freedman vote.
That's right, and again, nothing has changed,
No difference
and
there.
that order still stands.
Yeah. And before that also.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Good report, Todd. Thank you very much. Wait, Speaker?
Just one additional thing. As Shelley, our staff, puts the code on Legistar, it can be downloaded and anyone that wants to can burn it onto their own CD. So there really doesn't need to be, at our expense, I see no requirement at our expense for us to provide free CDs to the world, because they can burn it off as she puts it on Legistar. It can be downloaded and then they can put it on their own CD for, I guess, storing for themselves.
Okay,
So I think that's an easy fix.
sure. Doesn't cost us anything.
They just have to be patient. Shelley's working just fast as she can to do that, but it does take some time. And while she is doing that, we have other sites that is free and that would be free and available to anybody that needs it. And if these lawyers don't feel comfortable talking to Todd for whatever reason, I would be glad to field their calls too. I have not had one call from the so, and I know most of the local bar that's acquainted with the tribal court, so I'm not sure what, which ones are not getting what they think they need.
I will say this as a closing on that is, yesterday, we were fortunate to have a rebirth of the Cherokee Nation Bar Association. We sent out invitations to all members of the Cherokee Nation Bar. It has been dormant for quite some time. With the coordination of the Supreme Court, we held a meeting, invited everybody in. The court has approved a set of bylaws, and we're going to actually start an active bar association, to which I am very proud. We want to be the example of how Native American bar associations are ran, but that step started yesterday. We had our code annotated there. The code is now available for purchase, because as the members of the Bar Association that I have been exposed to were extremely grateful that this long project has been complete, because it will increase access of the general public to the laws of the Cherokee Nation. It will increase good government and will increase transparency. So this is the completion of the codification project was a major milestone. And the members of this council should be proud of it, this administration should be proud of it, and I know the judicial branch is proud of it. So I just wanted to say that, and if there's any additional information I can give to any individual about it, all they need to do is call me. Thank you.
Very good. You still got comment?
Yeah, so I had a question. I wanted to clarify. So the way I understand it, Legistar tracks our acts, amendments, agendas, and the making of sausage, so to speak, the process. But codification shows you what the actual law is after they're all melded together and checked for conflicts and the language is straightened up. And that's what law would be practiced on. So when you go to Legistar, you have to pull things together and try to figure things out, and we don't always pass acts that are in entirety with the one amendment. So for a lay person, because this codification shouldn't just be for attorneys, it should also be for a lay person, we're missing an opportunity and clear to the public. So, but what I heard the speaker say, that if you go to Legistar, you would be able to search the codification, but then I'm hearing something different.
Well, no, it's not different. I would say that under Legistar, you can find every act that has ever been passed, every resolution that has ever been passed by this council with a simple search query. The same simple search query that you would need to research a West CD law. I mean, you have to put the query in. Now, that was precisely why codification was so important, is for the layperson. As an attorney, I can put those queries in, and that's why the constitutional requirement was satisfied with Legistar. But the reason why it was important for codification to be complete is really not for me or anyone on this council, but it was for the layperson, for the Cherokee who does not have any legal background, that they can go and find that law in an easily searchable fashion. That's what's increased transparency. That's why it was important to my office and this administration to see codification completed. We'd worked on it for years, throughout the Smith administration, throughout this administration. Had it not been for the doubling of efforts during the tenure with the Attorney General's office that I've had, it would not have been completed. It's one of my finest, most proudest moments, is getting this completed.
But you were our attorney for the last 12 years on the council side who's responsible for it, right?
One person. Actually, this whole body was responsible for it,
And I pushed for it.
and it got completed only after we were able to dedicate the resources through the Attorney General's office to get it done. And that's, and again, it increases transparency and it increases good government, and we're really proud of it.
Well, we're all one tribe. I'd like to just commend everybody for working on this codification effort there. You guys did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Speaker, we through?
Yes, I believe we are.
Okay, let's move on down. Hey, good report,
Thank you.
Trey G. Okay, now we have Gwen Terrapin.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
See, for the time period of March the 26th to May the 28th, we had 28 FOIA requests and 2 GRAs for a total of 30. And the updated list, of course, is on the website. And now we have on the website the 2002 to 2013 request and their responses also. What we do not have on the website are the documents, because when you put all of those together, there are thousands and thousands of pages, and that would just be too much information to include on there. But if a person looks at one of the requests and they would like to see those documents, as long as they're publicly available documents, then I can provide those to them, or they can do a FOIA for that information also. And I'm still working on putting all of those requests into different categories where you will be able to go in, or the public will be able to go in and search those different categories and look up the requests that way also.
Okay. Good report. Any questions? Thank you for that report. I had a phone call from Sharon Swepston. I think she had a commitment. I think it was a funeral this morning she had to go to, so I don't see anybody from the Tax Commission here. So with that, report is in the book. So with that, I'll move down to self-governance. Vicki Hanvey.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
You have my report in front of you. I had an update from our self-governance conference with the various sessions that myself and other staff participated within the national conference. I do have an update that I would like to mention to you. That we were just informed of recently. There has been a settlement reached between the Indian Health Service and civilian employees. With IHS has union employees. There were some lawsuits filed. The parties have reached an agreement of $80 million. We were informed that that would not be paid out of the judgment fund. That's going to come out of IHS funding. They have informed us that about $60 million of that is coming from IHS. 50 to 51 million will be from prior year third-party collections that the IHS has collected. 9 million will be from prior year funding. Now, what exactly that will be, we don't know at this time. There's $20 million that are administrative and union attorney fees. And the information that we have at this point is that IHS intends to reprogram from 2015 facilities account. What that will actually mean to Indian country and to us in particular, we are unclear at this particular point. Within the communication, they have informed us that the costs will be borne by the service units based upon the salary obligations where the claims arose. So in other words, the employees that filed wherever their service unit is, they will calculate where those costs will be borne by service unit. So again, we haven't received any other information than that. The Self-Governance Advisory Committee has had a conference call and been discussing these particular issues. One of the concerns is that this was not discussed with the advisory committee or the self-governance tribes or anyone during this process. So this is new information to us. So I did want to inform. I just sent some of the correspondence just today to administration and wanted to be sure that we informed you of that. Other than that, you have my report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions, should you have any.
Any questions? Yes, Counselor Buzzard?
So Vicki, are you saying that the overall budget from this unit is going to be cut some to the nation?
Well, that's what I mean. We don't know at this point. It says that the service units where whatever employees filed, and we don't know who those employees were or what service unit they worked for. So we don't have that information. No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Counselor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this will impact us.
In some form or fashion, yes. It will impact to some degree. And there again, we have a lot of unanswered questions which are being posed to IHS as to exactly how this would impact Indian Country as a whole. And then once we get some more information, then we'll know how it will impact the Oklahoma area office and Cherokee Nation in particular.
And did I hear you that they're gonna recommend it come out of the facilities construction budget of IHS's overall budget?
Well, it says the facilities account, with, yeah, the joint venture is out of separate funding, but the facilities is basically funding that we get to maintain facilities.
So it could, for Cherokee Nation folks, would likely impact Hastings and Claremore service area.
It could, mhm.
You said what was the total on the settlement that we didn't agree to or participate in?
$80 million in total.
Is it to be paid out in 1 year or over some period of time?
Well, they're trying to locate the funding. Again, the information that we have is basically they're using some prior year funding and third-party collections that they've received. So they're trying to find money within their current budget to cover that settlement.
Will we be getting additional details on this? Or as a council body, can we get additional information? You forward it to somebody or forward it to us, or?
The actual communication, I will leave that to administration as to how, but I did want to inform you of the settlement and the details we do not know at this point. But it will, in some form or fashion, I would expect it to impact us at some degree.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Counselor Keenan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, you kind of answered my question, but I guess so we'll have to look at this meeting again. Would you mind sending the whole council the numbers that you read off for us? Can you do that, or does that have to go to administration as well? The 60 million, the 20 million. Is that possible for your department to do?
Well, for one thing, that's been released by the Indian Health Service, so that information is public at this point. But
Where does one find that?
through the Indian Health Service, will
it be all together?
Mhm.
Okay. That helps a lot. And then, probably a few months I've asked about the advisory board, how they're getting communication. And so, would the IHS department be responsible for communicating that with the advisory board, what's coming up in this case? Or where was the break in communication, I guess, or why was there no communication?
Well, that would be a question for the Indian Health Service as to why that was not communicated with the tribes. Because apparently these, and keep in mind, they're not obligated to discuss every matter with the tribes, but these settlements or the claims were actually filed in 2008. They had settled a few of those, but at some point they had decided to pull them together in like a class action or a class settlement. To my knowledge, that was never discussed at the advisory committee or discussed with the tribes.
So in the 2015 facilities account that they're taking the money from, will that impact us this year? Will it be next year? Or do we know yet? Or years to come, I guess, probably?
They do say 2015 facilities account, but there again, they don't tell you the details of, exactly where that's going to be coming from. So I'm just sharing the information that has been released by the Indian Health Service at this point.
And then will the advisory committee have a chance to talk to IHS about this?
Yes, matter of fact, the National Advisory Committee has already drafted a letter with their issues and some outstanding questions to send to the acting director, Robert McSwain, to hopefully get some more information back. So that has already been in process.
Thank you. Thank you,
You
Mr.
good?
Chair.
Okay. Anybody else? Counselor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tell me one more time what the basis of these claims that are being settled, like what's the short version? You said the unions?
Basically, there are the civilian employees within the Indian Health Service filed a suit in regards to unpaid overtime. And there were multiple employees who filed. And I believe that began about in 2008. They had settled a few of those, but there were, I don't know how many, what the total volume of those claims were, but at some point they decided to pull those together into one settlement. So it's basically for the civilian employees' unpaid overtime that they had filed a claim on.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Good.
Mr. Chair?
Counselor Keener?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought I had one more question. Are there any other suits like this that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
This could be, well, until the next one. This is it. As far as you know.
That's all I know.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, good report, Vicki. Gaming Commission? Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Myers. I'm here on behalf of the Gaming Commission. NIGC is doing facility inspections at Roland and Salisaw today. So Jamie was requested to be there with them, and he's there right now. So he sends his regards, and I'm here to take any questions that you have back for him, and I believe he submitted his report to you.
Yes. Any questions? None for you, Jack?
We do not have.
We don't have his report.
Oh, you don't have his report?
No.
Okay. I'll let him know that.
Yeah. He shot a blank that time. You still have a question, Counselor Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was hoping Jamie would be here, Kelly, but my question is, where are we at with the implementation of the new act or amendments to the act?
Okay, I can have him provide an update to you. I know just on my part, we're reviewing the rules and regs on it to be in compliance with, on employee side with the NIGC requirements, and then on the vendor side with the state compliant, with the state compact requirements. But as for other departments too, I can have him give you an overall update.
An update from him on that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Cross, Counselor Keener?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was my second question as well, and I don't think that he could probably give us a timeline, although that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I'm not for sure. I'm sure he probably has a goal on it. It requires for every rule and reg to be revised, so
Right, I
it
know
is
it's
a long process that we are going through right now.
Right. But if you could relay that.
We'll have him give a
He doesn't
timeline.
have to give us, or me a timeline, but I guess just an update on the progress at
Okay.
this point. And I thank you for being here. Tell him thank you for sending somebody when he couldn't be here. So at least we can talk to someone from the
Okay.
commission.
Yes,
So,
well, no, thanks.
Thank you,
thank you,
Kelly.
Chair.
Counselor Taylor?
The IRS was looking at lowering the reporting standards. Has there been any, I believe the comment period is in June. Any movement there that you can record?
I believe, my understanding is that tribes were asking for an extension on that, and I'm not sure if I honestly don't know what our comment was on behalf. I believe it with Jamie and with Sarah in their office. I can have him provide an update on it.
Okay, thank you.
You
That's all
good?
I have.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay,
Good
thanks.
report. Human Services, Dr. Nason Morton.
Good afternoon. As far as what's going on, we're just continuing with the existing projects that we mentioned before, including the electronic EAN for implementation of the hiring process, and also testing it for separation from Cherokee Nation. If someone retires, resigns, how to do that electronically as well, and that's just in the testing phase. Adding more follow-ups to orientation, still an ongoing process. The open enrollment for benefits concluded last month, and as far as everything else goes, just processing paper, just doing day-to-day activities. Does anyone have any questions?
Anybody? Counselor Watts?
Thank you. Mason, for what it's worth, anecdotally, I've had a lot less complaints, so whatever you're doing, your team, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Walkenstick?
Hey Nathan, on the incentive program, or just probably not incentive program, but a step program for employees on getting your raises. There's some employees been here for 20, 25 years, and they'll get like a 25, 50 cent increase. Is there some way, because we got budgets coming up too, budget hearing, is there some way that you guys could put together a similar incentive step program for employees that might make it worthwhile to work here at Cherokee Nation? Because it's not really, it's not motivating to be an employee here with our, do we have a step program in place? An incentive, raises as the years go on, like government or something?
That's a very long question. Let me go ahead, if you don't mind. I will prepare a list of the benefits provided to employees, and that, I'd hate to do that answer off the cuff.
Okay.
Because let me gather some
Well, it's
information and get them all.
Is this something that might confirm over employees that's been here for a long time? And I'm sure you guys have heard the same comments. We give them raises, and we bump the minimum wage up, and that's good. But I would like to get some type of step program if you're here for, like every year you get some, like maybe an 18, 25 cent pay raise, something that, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so I'll have a more
I'll
comprehensive
decide.
answer for the benefits we currently have, and basically all the benefits of working for the Cherokee
Yeah,
Nation.
you
all
want
the
to just
nice
cover
things
some of
you-
those benefits, and maybe they'll satisfy the question.
Okay.
Is that good?
Is there
Well, that's what he's getting ready to cover.
is there another tribe or entity that CMB's pretty generous on their,
Every tribe is.
Yes. We have a very nice benefits package, a very nice for the employees. So I'm going to get a comprehensive thing of some of them to show that kind of what we offer now.
okay, that'd be great. Thanks, Nathan.
Okay. Yes, Speaker?
Nathan, you might also include in your analysis that we have, within any position, there is a pay range. So there could be movement upward based on based on good work.
Yes.
At any time during their employment. So there is a range. I think when Councilman Walkenstick is asking about a STEP program, the range is the STEP program. And the range level of pay is based on your productivity within your position.
And we also have, some departments have implemented career ladders. So where you start out, you know, you can work your way up to the next position, and we can retain a valuable employee throughout their career, and at the same time, they can increase their education, their knowledge base, and everything else, and we can also retain a valuable asset. And we also have an education reimbursement program, which even includes, depending on the needs and the requirements of the department, up to 4 hours off a week for you to actually go to school. And then if you go to school, when you complete the semester, there's a reimbursement. So that's the kind of stuff I'm going to bring to you, and we'll make a list.
All right, appreciate it, Nathan.
Is that good?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Go ahead, Speaker.
Might also, in your analysis, point out the value of the health program, where they pay $28, but the value of it is somewhere approaching $1,000 now, I think, per individual. I know there is a huge cost over and above what is paid by
By the employee. Yes, which,
that's what makes our benefit package so great, is your benefit package is probably approaching what percentage of it adds another 40% value, doesn't it, to their total overall package.
I can get pretty good numbers.
Because of the value of the benefits.
But yes, it is an incentive and a cost above and beyond your salary that you don't have to pay. Other places you would get a certain amount of pay, but then you'd have to pay for your benefits. This is just something that is provided for you on top of your regular pay.
And that's not saying that we can't always do better, because you always want a goal of reaching higher than where you are. It's like any area. We would love to be able to pay them $22, $23 an hour to start out, but once you factor in benefits, I know that at one point we looked at it, and 9.5 turns into almost $14 because of benefits.
I remember years ago, as an employee, I got something that said, hey, here's your added benefit above, and I had not realized how much before that point.
But certainly, I would be in favor of whatever the budget can sustain of helping our employees that are doing such a fantastic job for us. But we do need to be sure that they see the whole picture of what they're getting along with their base pay. And the fact that there is within their position room to increase their pay based on their upper level management within that area making that recommendation and it being approved. Yeah, and if money's in the budget. And you're going to come up on the budget here in the first part of August. So you'll get to, this body will get to address all of those issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Satisfied?
Thank you.
Okay. Good report.
Thank you.
Counselor Busser.
I got a question. I just, back to Councilor Walkenstick's comment about, a lot of people have been here for 25 years, 20 years, and they've reached the top of their grade, and a lot of them I've heard is you don't get a merit increase. All you're eligible for is a lump sum. Is that correct, Nathan?
I believe if you reach the top of your range, you would get it in instead of being added to your yearly wage.
Right, and
but
I don't know if that, anything what Councilor Walkenstick was saying. I don't know, a lot of people are here for 20, 25 years, and they are at the top of the range, and if you get a lump sum, you may get $400 or $500 that year, but it certainly doesn't go year to year. I mean, next year you may not get anything, so I don't know if anything can be addressed with that other than, I don't know if that's what Councilor Walkenstick was talking about as a step increase, but I know GSA does that for step increases through their services. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. The other thing, Nathan, appreciate the response on some of the questions I had, but But I still want to go back to the length of time of hiring people. I know you've worked on that, but I still have people that call me and said they waited so long to be interviewed or waited so long to get offered the job. So I wish we could work on that a little bit better, make it a little better. The other thing that I'm hearing or that I'm seeing is if we eliminate a job or we discontinue that job and the people that have applied for that job, I wish we'd have, somebody have a notification that, hey, we've done away with this job or we're not going to fill the job. Because they're just sitting there waiting to hear, you know, hey, I applied for this job. And we could just shoot them an email or shoot them a little card and say this job has been filled or it's been eliminated or we put on a different route. I think that would save me some problems.
Okay.
And probably other council members.
And I will double check on the follow-up and see.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman, okay. Thank you, Mr. Morton. Okay, dropping down to old business, Councilor Thornton.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to bring this forward today. To have discussion, possible action, closing loopholes, allowing candidate for principal chief and other offices to raise and spend money and escape accountability by not filing for office. Put that in motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're in discussion.
Hey, Chair, clarification, this is for people that file candidacy for chief, they raised lots of money, and then they dropped out, and they didn't file with the election commission, and, so my question is, I guess.
You want to yield that to the,
Yes, I yield to Mr. Thornton.
Diane Parker here.
Yes, sir.
Would you come forward? I'd like to talk to you. Ask a few questions. You know, I've never seen this type of situations and loopholes in the Cherokee Nation election. I've never seen it happen before. And myself, I don't know about anybody else, but my constituents and my Cherokees have asked me several questions on this that I can't answer. And one of them was, you know, does a person allowed to, through a loophole, allowed a person to raise and spend money under the color of Cherokee law, but escape accountability and transparency by not filing for office? Sure, you may file a report to the election commission, but how do we hold that person accountable when that person is not a candidate under the law? And that's one thing I'd like you to look into, is election laws, Diane.
I have them on my computer.
Okay, and I want you to report back to this. If we pass this and go on, well, then I want you to report back to this next month, if it's put on hold. Can a council subpoena finance records for a candidate who did not file but raised and spent fundings under Cherokee law? Also, can this council have a committee that can subpoena individuals to testify? You look into that also, on subpoena laws for the council? I'd like to have a purpose of the language and how it's laid out.
In section 46 of the election code, there is a financial disclosure report that discusses forms, time of filing, any corrections, late filing, or failure to file. And the report, it says each candidate filing for elective office shall file with Election Commission a certified monthly and final financial disclosure report on forms provided by the Election Commission.
Okay, then, I would ask the chair to bring forward a committee to look into this situation, into these situations.
Speaker, you want to address that?
If you're directing that question to me, if you would like, Mr. Thornton, we can form a subcommittee that could look into whether there needs to be a revision to cover this gray area. And I think what I'm hearing is that we probably need to review our law, and if it's not there, then it will need to be written, maybe through our legal counsel here, that anytime after a person announces that they plan to run for a particular office, what I think I'm hearing from you is you want to see accountability for any funds that they expend or that they take in the way of a donation to this campaign.
Right,
So-
transparency type thing, you know,
Because
Cherokee Nation is very transparent.
I believe if we look at the definition of candidate, it's making the presumption that candidate is a filed candidate. And so what you're wanting to do is go back prior to that, which
When
you
we
can
can
take.
accept donations.
Right, if you take, for example, the state of Oklahoma, prior to even a filing date, they are regulating your activity. Once you announce or exceed, I believe, $1,000, they are regulating your activity. And we may want to have a similar law that covers this gray area that you're talking about. And I think it would be very, very appropriate for a subcommittee to look at that. If you will allow us maybe some leeway here, I'll get with the chair. We can get a subcommittee formed and then report back maybe next month or the month after what, working with our attorney, we can do to close this gray area. Would that be sufficient?
Sure. We can at least give a report by next month. May not be, completed, but maybe give an update.
Okay.
Okay, is that
It will
satisfying?
probably take some time because we'll have to review other similar situations and see what we can come up with. I think, I believe I'm gleaming, am I correct in what I'm saying? So we will, I'll get with the chairperson here of rules and we'll see if we can't put that together.
I appreciate
Thank you, sir.
Satisfying?
it. Yes.
I would ask that you might consider tabling this issue for another month so that we could get something going and then we could announce back to full committee the process that we're taking on that.
Well, I would, for,
Yeah, you still.
Now you do.
I'd like to table this issue for another month.
Motion to table? Second? Discussion? All in favor to table, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, table for 30 days. Okay, next item on the agenda, Counselor Thornton.
I would like to table this also for another month.
Okay, very similar.
Prior to a second on that table, do you want to include this in the same work group?
Well, I think we'd have to bring this forward first to do that. If it's still in court.
You may want, if you want that work group to work on it, you may want to consider bringing it forward, then tabling it after you bring it forward then.
Okay, I'll make a motion to bring this forward, discussion of possible action.
Okay, you got a motion, need a second? You got a second, discussion? All in favor, bring it forward?
Aye.
Okay, Counselor Thornton, back to you.
I'll make a motion to table this number 2 till next.
Motion to table for 30 days, need a second? Second? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, 30 days. Okay, speaker?
Yes, on number 3, that was a yearly review of our travel expense policy that I bring to the committee on a regular basis. There are a couple of things within that travel policy where we need to be just slightly more specific on what is official travel versus, I think we call it, let me get the policy out here. We distinguish between official travel and elective travel, and I'm in the process of working with our legal counsel there to be a little more specific on how we break those down, because it will make it quite easier for the staff, I think, if we break those categories down. So if you all would give us one more month on that one also, I'll bring back language that I think will be more specific to those 2 areas. And during that time, if someone else on this body sees something else, this is the time that generally we review that particular policy. And if you will let me know, we will work on that during this upcoming month. And I hope that we can have that ready just with those minor changes as I see now, which will assist Gail in separating out the 2 types of funding, 30 days. So I would ask that that be tabled for 30 days to let us get the appropriate language together.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, speaker.
Thank you.
Dropping down to new business, Counselor Fishenhawk, you want to take that?
This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Bobby Mayfield as a commissioner on our housing authority, and I move for his approval.
Got a motion and a second. Is Mr. Bobby Mayfield here?
Yep.
Discussion? Okay, you've got Counselor Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mayfield, would you come forward?
Afternoon, Bob.
Thank you so much for being here again and your service to the nation. I just have a typical questions I'm going to ask everyone. So, do you have any relatives that might potentially create a conflict of interest, either employed by the housing authority, on the board, on the tribal council, or in the chief's administration and leadership positions?
Nobody knew.
Okay. And do you have to do any business that might create a conflict of interest for your role in the housing authority?
I'm retired, do nothing.
Okay. I think on your resume, it gave you, one of your references is Gary Cooper, so your personal references are, it sounds like the very person that you're gonna oversee in the executive director position. Just to clarify that, is that the case?
So yes,
Okay, and that doesn't create a conflict of interest?
no man, he was my boy and I've known him since.
Okay, and so, and that's the relationship with Mr. Cooper then? Okay, and then it has James Chafin, I think, as a business partner or such. Is that Harvey Chafin's relative?
No ma'am.
Okay,
James Chapin, he owns his own tower business in Auburn area.
I have to ask, I didn't grow up in Cherokee County, so I always have to ask to clarify, so. I appreciate the time in front of us today answering my questions so candidly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Counselor Taylor?
I just want to say that I've been on the, an advisory member for the housing commissions, for quite a while now. And I feel like, for one thing, I was interested to read your resume. I hadn't done that before, and see what your background was. You come from a business background. It looks like there's nothing that you're not afraid to get into any business. But, and this goes for Mr. King too, who will be up here in a minute. I'm impressed with the way all the members of that board want to know what's going on, and they keep asking questions until they have a full understanding of what they're doing. They don't just oh yeah, whatever, let's do it. They keep after Mr. Cooper until they have an understanding of what they're voting on, and I appreciate that. I do feel like that's your responsibility, but I feel like a lot of times in the interest of time, we just, oh yeah, let's go for it, it must be good. So I appreciate your service and the links that you go to fulfill your duties.
Thank you.
Councilor Hargis?
I just want to say that I concur with Councilor Taylor. I've been on the Housing Advisory Board for several years now, and I do appreciate what each member of the board brings to the table. And like Janice said, they ask questions. They don't just go in there and rubber stamp everything. So I do appreciate you.
It's been quite a learning experience for me, too.
Councilor Walkenstick?
I'd like to echo what Council Lady Taylor said and Council Lady Hargis. I'm on the advisory board as well, and I watched them put a fire under Gary many times about getting houses on the ground and making sure there's no Cherokees without a roof over their head. And I appreciate you guys,
Thank
your
you.
time and your initiative. Thank you. That's all I'm sure.
Councilor Watts?
Thank you. I did have one other content question. So what is the plan to maybe retool to deliver on the homes people are expecting? Can you give me an idea of what some of the things you're pushing for are as a board member?
Right now, we've got 200 houses completed, 100 under construction, and by the end of summer, we should have another 200 under contract.
Okay. And when did you expect those to be completed then?
Weather has a lot to do that, but hopefully by the end of the year.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that it? Councilor Vasquez?
Sponsor.
Okay, sponsor.
I'd like to be added as sponsor also.
If you want to be added as a sponsor, raise your hand, please. Okay, everybody but 1, 2, 3. Everybody but 4. Okay, you got a comment from Councilor Snell here?
I've known Bobby Mayfield for many years. We worked iron together. You know, Bobby's a real gentleman and a businessman, and I would encourage everyone to vote for him. Bobby's been doing a good job on the county for him, the Housing Authority Board. Thank you.
Councilor Garber?
Shelley, get my name on there.
Okay, let's put it this way. If, yeah, raise your hand if you, I know you guys can raise your hand if you want to be added. Okay, everybody but 1. Steady? Okay, everybody, I guess. Yeah, so Bob, it's kind of unanimous. Well, I'll just tell you guys, you'd rather have him on your side as against you, so you all did good. Okay, we got a motion, a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Councilor Lay, got a
Thank you.
comment?
Thank you, Mr.
Apologize for that.
And I want to talk to all of you guys coming over from the housing. You're doing a good job building houses. You can't help it if it rains. And one thing I'd like to talk to y'all about, and I talk to Gary about from time to time, is storm shelter for our apartment complexes, especially the senior citizens. Wahula, Nowata, Keeler, Barnesville, and I know there are Buffington over at Benita. Sometimes these things are a little remote, and those old folks are not gonna make it to town if one's coming.
Exactly.
So that is.
Okay. Speaker?
And maybe this is the appropriate place to bring up a revised policy. I had looked several months back, a constituent had called and said, I'm living in one of the new homes that was built by the Housing Authority. I'm not able to submit an application for the storm shelter program because I don't own my land. The Housing Authority well, I own my land, but the Housing Authority's got it under mortgage, I think is how it works. And Gary may have to come up and correct me. But in any event, I talked to the chief, I talked to the Secretary of State, and I believe we have revised that policy now. So if you live in one of the new homes, you can make application for our program with rehab and with the concurrence of the housing authority, because they are the, yes, with the concurrence of the housing authority, they can tap into the program where the first $2,000 is paid for by the nation, and they pay the difference. And I believe that, and it was a policy.
Yeah.
So it didn't have to come to the council. They were able to do it as a administrative policy. So that may, Dick, that may help many of our individual participants receive storm shelter program, which is administered through rehab. And I see a lot of nodding of heads. I didn't actually see the signed policy, but my understanding is that was going to occur.
It's a great suggestion, and it's taken up in this.
Okay.
Good.
And just to add to what Tyne was saying, we have a lot of Cherokees that they're in probate and they're trying to get a home. If we could find a way to add a probate to the mortgage of the home on top of the $55,000 and get that going, I think that'd be a good service for our people if we can find a way for it.
There's sometimes that we're able to, if all the family members are in agreement, if there's something, but whenever there are umpteen errors, and we've had several cases where they don't even know where a brother or sister lives, that's almost impossible for us to take on that task, because the cost is going to get outrageous and there's really no end in sight as far as whether or not it can be done.
If we tack on the cost to the mortgage and the owner is willing to do the cost, because ultimately they're paying for it.
And one of the things that we have to look at is all the heirs, is every member of the family willing to all in agreement as far as the probate goes. If they're not all in agreement, then there's no guarantee that we're going to have anything to tack on to.
Sure.
So that's one of the things we look at, and whenever we can get folks in agreement, if it's feasible, we certainly do that, and there's a couple that we've done.
So the service is already there, is what you're saying?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's just on an individual basis, and that's something we've got to look at. Is it feasible for us to do?
Okay. That's all.
But I have seen some where, I mean, there could be 13, 14 heirs, and they may not even know where half of them live, may not even talk.
That's good. Thank you, Gary.
Bobby Mayfield, congratulations. We got off track here with policies and procedures, but for being nominated to the board, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
All right, see.
I might ask the body, if you're vetting them today, do you still want them to come to council? Or can we release them?
Speaker, let me interrupt you here. You guys got into policies and procedures, and I apologize that. We have a motion, a second. We did discussion, policies, constitution, etc. Now, we need all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Shelley, thanks for keeping us straight. Now, back to you, Speaker.
Now my original question, need for these gentlemen to come to full council. We've not been making them come if we vetted them here, but I just wanted to make sure that they could be released to do other things, because these are reappointments.
Not unless they just enjoy council meetings.
Not hearing anything, I'm assuming that we can release them to do
Sure.
their own business for other things on that particular night.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, you guys can do that afterwards. Let me get my agenda over with. Okay. Next would be, Frankie, you want to take the next resolution?
This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Josh King as a commissioner of the Housing Authority of the Cherokee Nation Board of Commissioners. I put that in form of a motion.
Got a motion, second, discussion?
Mr. King is here.
Oh, Mr. King is here. This is a reappointment. Yes, Counselor Lay.
I'm gonna put in my 2 cents worth for storm shelters at the senior citizens apartment complexes. Again, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Walkenstick.
I want to echo what you said about Mr. Mayfield. You've done a great job serving us, and the input and fire under Mr. Cooper. And you would just take these policies with the probates and the housing, the shelters and all that back with you to the committee. But appreciate your service, Joe.
Thank you.
Chair.
Counselor Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mr. King. Thank you again for your service to the Cherokee Nation. I appreciate you being here today. I do have questions for you. Do you have any relatives that work for the Housing Authority, on the board of the Housing Authority, seated on the council, or the chief's office, which is his cabinet, or?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of, certainly.
So there's no familial relationships with anybody?
No, ma'am.
Well,
Let me,
Familiar relationship, may need to clarify. Now, I do have, my daughter.
You don't, but your children or your
Right, my daughter is a granddaughter to Tina and to Rex Jordan, who's a candidate for council and a former employee of the Housing Authority, but no blood or law relation for.
Okay.
No blood?
Sort of thing.
No blood relation.
And do you
No,
have
sir.
any business
Okay.
relationships that would create a conflict of interest for you and your role, or with anyone in the elected positions or whatever?
None whatsoever.
Okay. And are you yourself, because when I read your, are you a Title VI loan recipient?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this during your tenure on the Housing Authority or prior to your?
Prior to, actually built my home in 2003 or completed in 2004 in that Title VI program, long before my tenure.
I always
here.
liked that program.
It's,
Yeah.
I love it, was thrilled to
Well,
be able
that's
to
it.
take advantage of it at the time and still.
Well, you uniquely provide a role we need on the Housing Authority as a recipient of housing programs, so thank you for that. That's all my questions. Oh, well, what are you pushing for in order to deliver the homes that have been promised?
Probably, and I'm sure you guys have received reports, if not, the process is, we're expediting and fine tuning, so to speak, as we've gone along. The thing that I look to our future as our next step in working toward more homes is working on land acquisition. We have a list of landowners that we will never completely exhaust. The applications will keep coming, but I anticipate in the coming years, certainly, that we'll have to be looking seriously at land acquisition more to provide for those that don't have land. We're gonna run out of land we have and people with land. So that's probably the next step that I see us having to look at as expanding, so to speak, in the future.
So you're looking that in order to satisfy the needs of those without land, which that's a significant number on the list, that we will purchase additional property then?
I think that's what we have to look at. We have certain properties now that some probably not fit. We had our most recent meeting, had a couple pieces of land that one's got the electric lines running right through the middle of the lot. The other doesn't have sewage, it's not big enough for the aeration system, and properties that we just can't build on that we're looking at disposing of. So assessing, and Mr. Cooper keeps us posted, assessing the property that we have, disposing of those that are not suitable for housing, and looking at acquiring as needed, and I think that need's gonna come in the future, that we're gonna have to be looking at purchasing land to be able to put these, to build homes on. We're gonna run out of land that we have and people that own their own land, so.
Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you,
Very
Mr.
good.
Chair.
Counselor Hargis?
I just want to thank you, Josh, for your service, and like Mr. Mayfield, you do a great job, and I appreciate what you bring to the board.
Thank you.
Appreciate you looking into those applicants that do not currently have land, because a lot of those people out in the rural areas, I mean, they really have a difficult time, and you know, I think Councilor Walkenstick mentioned we could add that to the end of the probate. If the family were to unite and get together, that'd be really a great deal. Appreciate you guys just coming in, and Bobby, you and Josh here. Okay, you have a motion and a second?
I do want to make one comment. I will be abstaining from this vote, not because I don't believe Josh is a perfect fit for this board, because he is absolutely the most perfect fit for this board, because he is the only participant on this board, and by law, we have to have a participant by state law. Many of you all probably do not realize this. I lost a daughter in 2005. My daughter, Cray, was married to Josh. Although the law is very clear, and that part of the law has never been changed to my knowledge, that once a relationship of marriage is terminated by death, there's no longer any sort of in-law relationship at all. This is a fine man, a good man. We can make no better choices than what we're doing today on Mr. Mayfield and Mr. King. But I will abstain from voting on this, and I know that Josh understands. Thank you.
Councilor
Being the
Thornton.
sponsor.
Okay, added as sponsor.
I want to be a sponsor.
Okay, show of hands. Got to raise your hand or you won't be a sponsor. Okay, can you see? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Josh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, Counselor Vasquez, you're up next.
Regarding this resolution confirming nomination of Lauren Jones to the Cherokee Phoenix Editorial Board, I would like to table this for 1 month.
Okay, motion to table. A second. Discussion?
Don't discuss.
Only discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Counselor Vasquez.
And the same with confirmation of nomination of Luca Madison. I would like to table that for 1 month.
Second.
A motion and a second. Okay, table for 30 days. Okay, Counselor Hargis.
We had one nomination in our, yeah, we didn't vote on that one. On the
We vote on the table?
Yes.
Okay, motion and second. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
All right,
back to you, Counselor.
We had one nomination submitted to the committee by Counselor Keener, and at this point, the committee has chosen to submit it in.
Like how this was considered worthy or not, help me understand.
We didn't feel it met the criteria that we have set for the recognition committee.
Did everybody have the
Everybody has
criteria?
that criteria, everybody received that criteria.
Even Counselor Watts?
Yeah, I'm not as, so I'm just at the process is like, because I haven't just been in those meetings.
If
and
you
not-
have someone that you would like to recommend, then you get with Shelley and she'll pass it out to me, and I pass it out to the committee.
So I'm curious what the internal workings of the black box look like. I understand there's a supposed outline of things, but obviously we've been able to recognize some folks very quickly and very readily, but then it seems like other folks don't get through. So I'm trying to understand what this rationale is, so that all citizens have a fair chance of being recognized by the Cherokee Nation.
Well, if we were talking about an individual, I wouldn't name them on camera, but we're talking about an organization, not an individual.
Okay. All right.
And, I mean, I'll discuss it with you
I'll visit
offline.
with you,
but,
Frankie. Thank you.
Who's on your,
Counselor Victoria Curtis, Janelle, and Jack.
I guess we need to review that criteria. You guys are pretty tough. Okay.
Just for
That's-
the record, mine didn't get recognized, or mine didn't get accepted either. So it's-
Really?
It's, you know, they are tough.
Yeah, they don't want to recognize too many people. So, anyway.
We
Okay.
want them to earn it.
Yeah. Okay, announcements. Need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, second. You are adjourned.
Yes, we are.
You got the game?